This doesn't make any sense. Why is my body doing this? Why am I feeling like this? Having the hormones of a 90-year-old postmenopausal woman, and here I am at 30 years old. And I'm like, how is this possible? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It was getting to the point where my husband would always ask me, how are you feeling? And my answer is always fine. Because I was so tired of saying that I felt like crap. And I had no answers. The doctors didn't have answers. Nobody had an answer for me. Because here's the thing, ladies, doctors do not disclose a lot of this information. If I only knew then what I know my journey would be for the next 13 years, I doubt the same decision would have been made. I'm tired.
Shouldn't you just assume?
August 13th, 2005. Going to get surgery. I'm going to get these done. Dun, dun, dun.
Good luck, Karen.
That's normal. Oh, I can't laugh. Hi everyone, I'm Karen Monetti. A lot of you don't know who I am, and you're probably thinking, what is this video all about? So it's actually really hard for me to talk about publicly. It's something that is really a challenge, and I might get emotional. I'm trying not to, I'm trying to keep it solid, but the reason I want to do this video is to inspire a lot of women to really love themselves for who they truly are, what they look like, no matter what they look like, and then also just be a voice for a lot of women who are sick and they don't know why, and then also to be a contact if somebody needs to talk or vent or needs more information. So this is my story about my journey and my health, what's been going on in the past 13 years of my life. So what I do currently and what I've been doing for the past 10 years is that I'm a nutrition consultant. My husband and I, Anthony, we own a wellness studio here in town, and we focus on Pilates, massage, yoga, strength training, cardiovascular training, nutrition coaching. And on top of that, we preach a very healthy lifestyle as far as acupuncture, chiropractic, massage therapy, and eating a really healthy diet. Yet, despite all of the efforts, all of the professionals that I hire to help me out with my health, I have continually gotten sicker and sicker over the past 10 years. More so in the past, I would say 6 years, it's gotten really bad. And none of it makes sense with the amount of health and the amount of energy that I put into my life every day. So despite everything that I preach and everything that I coach other people on and everything I'm doing for myself, my health really has been taking a toll. So I decided to make this video about my journey to let you know that you might not be alone. And if you're going through a lot of these issues, there's other people going through it too. So let me start by saying this past year is kind of, I'd like to say, kicked me in the teeth health-wise. I have gotten through so many different issues as far as gastrointestinal issues, joint pains, hip pains, muscular issues, hormone issues, adrenal things. It's mind-blowing. The list goes on and on and on. And later in the video, I'll actually outline it a little bit more. But it really made me think and wonder, like, what is going on and how come, despite everything that I do, I'm getting more and more sick. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna jump back now. We'll backtrack back to 13 years ago. I was very young. I started competing in this fitness and bodybuilding And through that, I was really happy with how my body was looking, except one part of my body. And as a female in society, we're supposed to look a certain way, or society makes us feel that we're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to have curves, you're supposed to have a chest, you know, a butt, and have all these curves. Because if you don't, maybe you're not as much of a female as you should be, right? At least that's what a lot of people think. And at the age of 23 years old, when you're so vulnerable and you're so new to it, being an adult, and you're trying to figure out who you are in life, that can really hit you and make an impression on you. And when you're competing and you're losing all of your body fat, a lot of your curves go away too. So at the age of 23 years old, I decided to go with breast implants and get them done. Back then, now that was again 13 years ago, there wasn't too much research out there other than at the time silicone was not really being sold on the market because it was taken off by the FDA because of complications. So when I went in to get breast implants, I was given saline implants. And at the time, the doctors don't tell you anything that can go wrong other than, hey, if it ruptures, then you have to get them redone. And every 10 years, you might have to get them replaced if there's an issue. If not, you're fine. Just keep checking in on them. And that was pretty much the education that was given to me at the age of 23 years old. So I'm thinking, okay, I trust this doctor. I've heard really good feedback. I've read about him. He's board certified. I'm gonna go through with the surgery. If I only knew then what I know my journey would be for the next 13 years, I doubt the same decision would have been made. So I want to talk to you about something that really has been my life for the past 13 years and has caused me a lot of emotional, physical pain, and a lot of money down the road of trying to get better. So in August of 2005, I decided to get my implants done. And I was really, really happy. And coming out of surgery, I remember looking at them and being like, wow, I finally feel more like a woman. I have beautiful shape to me, and you know, I was really happy with that. And I was happy for quite some time. And all of a sudden, 3 years later, in 2008, I started noticing things going on. And my first thing that I noticed was really bad acne. And all of a sudden, it wasn't like a little pimple here and there. I was getting like cystic acne. Now, I never had acne even growing up as a child. Like even going through puberty, I never had a breakout. I had beautiful porcelain skin my whole life. So this was something like, that's a little odd. Thinking maybe it was just because of hormone changes, taking myself off the pill could have caused that, and also competition with, you know, dieting really strict and then going back to a normal way of eating again. Maybe that caused it. Okay, fast forward another year later in 2009, I wound up getting severe digestive issues, and I wound up finding out that I had a severe gluten allergy, pretty much celiac, and I never really went through the whole diagnosis of celiac, but I have every symptom of celiac disease, and I no longer could tolerate gluten. Literally, I woke up one day and I was fine, I was eating everything. The next day I was violently ill, and 10 years later I still can't have gluten. And then that also became a dairy intolerance, and this was all in the year of 2009. So it took me a little while to understand that new way of eating. Then in 2011, I got a desire to get back on stage. I was feeling really good. I had a year of really good eating, no more gluten, no more dairy, and I felt really great. So I decided to compete. It was a 2.5-year comeback. And that year, I was on top of everything. I won a professional universe title and a professional world title, and I was just ecstatic. I was so happy. I was at the epitome of my career at that time. I couldn't do any more in we call the WNBF, which is the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. I was a pro figure athlete, and I just won the 2 biggest titles in the entire organization. I felt like I was on cloud 9. I loved how I looked. I loved how I presented. I felt really, really good. And I was in a really good place that way. And again, we just thought it was just all dairy and gluten intolerance, and that's why I was feeling really bad a couple years ago. So in 2012, I decided, let me compete again. I'm feeling so good. Everything's working really nicely. Let me try this again. So in 2012, I came back, I competed, and I won another really big title. I won it was called the Natural Mania, which was a national show. I won a bikini competition with them. So now I'm like, wow, I look great. My body looks amazing. I really never felt so good about my whole self-image. A couple weeks later, I competed again, and my health after that just took a really bad toll. I think it was the low body fat in combination with a lot of things going on. I wound up after 2012, I competed in November 2012, it was a world competition, and I got really, really ill after that. Post-contest, it was literally like 2 weeks later, I injured my hip really bad. I actually think I tore my labrum at the time. Never really got diagnosed, but years later we're figuring out it was a torn labrum. So from there, with the torn labrum, I also started experiencing some really weird health issues that I never had before. I had gained a boatload of weight, and for me it was like 10 pounds past my normal, which is really interesting because I didn't really change anything in my diet, so why was I gaining all this weight? My mood was so erratic, I was exhausted, I couldn't get out of bed, I would be falling asleep at like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't have any energy. I was stuttering, I couldn't get my thoughts, I was having a lot of pain in muscles and joints. So I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, well, it must be just the post-contest, my body trying to normalize again after a contest, which was so interesting because a couple months prior to that, I was on top of the world and I felt great. Here I am after another contest. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is my body doing this? Why am I feeling like this? So a couple months went by, and I just, no matter what I did, I was dieting, I wasn't dieting, I was exercising, I stopped exercising, I was modifying things, and I was just getting sicker and sicker feeling. I then developed what was called melasma. It's a hyperpigmentation. A lot of women know it as the pregnancy mask. It looks like a lot of brown freckling all along your forehead, around your chin, and in your like lip line here. And it didn't make sense because all the research, I even went out to doctors to see what was going on, and they said, well, it's stress related. And I really didn't believe that too much because I've had a lot of stress in my life, and why now am I having all this? My research showed it was like a pregnancy mask, it's called. It's when your hormones just aren't 100% in line, and could happen a lot of times. But it was really weird for me because I was so young, I didn't understand. I ate really healthy, I was working out, and again, it's just one more layer. I was having this skin issue, and I was gaining all this weight and all these other things. So I sought out a functional medicine doctor, and this was in 2013 or 14. It took me a long time to get to this point. We did a lot of testing, and it wound up that I had severe adrenal dysfunction. So basically, your adrenals are responsible for your fight or flight mode in your body, and they release cortisol when you're in a fight mode because it's a protective mechanism. And my adrenals were so overworked that they weren't producing any of my hormones anymore, and I was really not functioning 100% correctly. So with the adrenal dysfunction also came a lot of hormonal imbalances. I actually got a reading that I was having the hormones of a 90-year-old postmenopausal woman, and here I am at 30 years old, and I'm like, how is this possible? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's what my blood showed, and that's what I had going on, hence all the weight gain, the discoloration in my face. So with that, I started having a treatment plan to get my hormones back to normal levels of what a 30-year-old woman should be. And I was taking a lot of supplementation. I had to change my exercise program again, change my diet even further to get my adrenals firing back the way they should be. In that time frame of me going to my new doctor, I also got hit with 4 urinary tract infections, which for me, I've never experienced in my entire life. It was the most painful and most bizarre thing, and it even happened when I was on vacation once, which is really embarrassing for any woman who has ever had a UTI. You understand the pain of the frequent urination needs, and I'm in a country that I don't really know very well. I'm having these issues. It was really interesting to say the least. So again, I'm wondering, like, why is my body doing this to me, and why am I getting so sick? I put so much energy into me on the nutrition and working out, making sure I sleep well, and I'm still having all these signs and symptoms. So it took me about a year to get back to a normal feeling of functioning once I started seeing my functional medicine doctor. So now I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm working out again. I'm back to my normal routine. Fast forward now to, that was 2012 to about 2014, all this was going on. let's go now to 2017. So now another couple years later, and this is probably the worst that has ever happened. I again started gaining all this weight unknowingly. Why? Because my diet hadn't changed, my exercise hasn't changed, my hip was starting to bother me again. 6 years later, I'm starting to have all these hip issues again. I wake up every day with joint pain. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. And it was getting to the point where my husband would always ask me, how are you feeling? And my answer is always fine. Because I was so tired of saying that I felt like crap, or I didn't have energy, or I was in constant pain. My knees hurt, my ankles hurt, my fingers hurt, like every joint in my body was hurting. I felt like I was 90 years old, and it took me hours to get out of bed every morning before I could even function properly. And it just didn't make any sense of why this was all going on. So now I started having some severe gastrointestinal issues around this time of 2017, late 2017. And again, didn't make any sense. I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy, I stopped eating meat at this point, so I really wasn't understanding what was going on. I went back to my functional medicine doctor. I had a blood test done, I had a stool test done to see what was going on, and it wound up being that I had 4 parasites running in my system, and I had bacterial overgrowth and a boatload of gluten in my body, which doesn't make any sense, because if anybody knows me, and for those of you who don't know me, I am 100% gluten-free in everything I do. My food, no cross-contamination. Gluten doesn't even come into my house, so it really didn't make any sense. So we were trying to figure out what is going on. Why am I going through all these issues? So again, I had to modify my diet. Then I found out I was allergic to kale and carrots and walnuts and sweet potatoes and just all these foods that were a part of my everyday, and all these foods that are really healthy for you to eat. So why am I deteriorating even further as healthy as I am? It's mind-blowing to say like how your body just breaks down despite all of the efforts that you put in to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be. That also caused me to have tooth issues. I wound up cracking a tooth I was eating like something really soft and my tooth cracked. I had to get a root canal. Again, something I've never even had a tooth issue even growing up. So these issues were just piling up all year. And this year is when it just got really bad. We're in 2018, right? So I don't know how much sicker I could have gotten. And it got to the point where I just really didn't know what was going on. And it was so frustrating that no matter what I did or no matter what I didn't do, my health was declining. And I had no answers. The doctors didn't have answers. Nobody had an answer for me. And it was really frustrating because I'm 36 years old and there's no explanation for it. So through a post on Instagram, my husband tagged me, and it was about a woman who just recently got her breast implants removed because of something called breast implant illness. I've never heard of it. I looked at the post and I was like, this doesn't even make sense. I don't even know what this is about. Whatever, I'll look at it later. So I did. I put it aside, and that night I wanted to look a little deeper in it, and I read this woman's story. I was like, this is interesting. I think this new information I'm finding out, it needs to be looked into a little bit further. So from this woman, I wound up finding this website. It's called Healing Breast Implant Illness. Again, breast implant illness, what is that? I never heard of that. I don't have that. I don't have any issues with my breast implants. I've never had pain. There's nothing going on there. They look fine. Everything looks normal. So I'm not really sure about this. But then I just wanted to see what it looked like. So I went on the website and I read it, and I was blown away by all the information on this website as far as the chemicals in your implants and the issues that you can have from it, the reactions, the symptom list of all the autoimmune diseases that breast implants can cause. It started to like really blow my mind, and I started getting really angry when I was reading it because I was like, why doesn't anybody ever talk about this? Why isn't there any information other than this one website on this? So that caused me to do some further research. I was like, this really looks like I need to dive in a little bit deeper. Research I was doing, and I'm reading books about it, I'm watching videos on it, I'm reading websites, I'm just really submerged myself for the past 2 months in this world of women suffering from serious illnesses from having implants. And people think it's crazy. People might think that I'm nuts for thinking this. Most doctors don't even believe in it, or if they do, they won't say it. But having implants can cause a boatload of health issues. So from this website, I found 2 support groups on Facebook, and one of them is called Healing Breast Implant Illness by Nicole. And in order to get into the group, you had to be accepted. I had to do a written interview, and when I was accepted into the group, I was floored by the thousands of women's stories that I was reading. That was me, just in a different perspective, a different person telling their story. And this one group has over 50,000 women in it, and I was literally up all night for weeks just reading story after story after story of women having the same exact issues as me, some of them even worse than me, some of them not so bad. But all of us having such similar stories. It was like, this is really weird. How come we all have breast implants? Nobody talks about any of the issues, yet we're all experiencing the same things. So that made me really crazy. And it made me look even further into the topic, and I wanted to do even further research. So I found some books, I read up on it, I listened to some interviews of women who were going through some of the same issues, I watched documentaries. And I remember the exact moment when I realized, I think this is my problem. And I was listening to a woman who was a perfectly fine, normal human being. She was healthy. She got breast implants, and literally 6 months later started getting so many issues, to the point where she was on literally her deathbed. She was hospitalized, creating a will because she was dying. Her implants were poisoning her, and nobody knew what was going on. She had found out somehow through a lot of research and a lot of doctors that her implants were causing this. She wound up getting what's called a breast explant. It's when a doctor removes your implants, and all of a sudden she went back to perfect health. And that story really hit home, and I was like, wow, I think this is my problem. I think my breast implants are poisoning me and slowly killing me. Literally every day of my life, I'm getting sicker and sicker, and it just makes no sense. I'm 36 years old and I'm reacting like a 90-year-old woman. And I've only even touched on the surface of what was really going on. I mean, I've even had my hair falling out. I've had bald spots on my head. These are just, I will put a link, and I'm also gonna list out all of my symptoms that I had and other women experience on this video too, so you can read a little bit more about it. I'm also gonna link the website that I found all this information on, so you guys can understand. But my research really showed that I think this is my problem. I want to talk about why I think I was having all these symptoms from breast implants and what really goes on inside the body. Because here's the thing, ladies, doctors do not disclose a lot of this information. The breast implant manufacturers, they don't disclose the information. It's almost impossible to actually find out what is inside of your breast implants. Whether you have silicone, whether you have saline, you have a lot of chemicals inside of your body. And when you have implants put in your body, it's a foreign object. Your body is an amazing machine, and the second you have something foreign enter your body, it's gonna fight to keep it alive and protect you from this foreign object. So now you have 2 implants, 2 bags, 2 toxic bags inside your body. Every single day that those implants are in your body is fighting to stay alive. And what happens is your body forms what's called a capsule. And it's like scar tissue that goes around the breast implant and protects your body from the implant. And this capsule really holds a lot of toxins in it too, if the implant were to leak. Fortunate for me, my implants were not leaking, so that wasn't the issue. However, your body still creates this protective layer. So when you have this in your system and your immune system is fighting every single day against this, you're gonna take all of your energy from everywhere else. So no wonder why I say we, because it's not just me, a lot of women who have these breast implants are getting sicker and sicker because our body is fighting every single day to stay alive and fight these toxins that are in our body, that we no longer have the support for any of the other issues going on in our body. So a lot of times when you have breast implants, you start developing autoimmune diseases because you don't have the immune support to fight off anything. That is why a lot of us suffer from gastrointestinal issues, food allergies, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus even. The list goes on and on and on, because there's really only so much fight that your body has. And if it's constantly fighting one battle, it doesn't have the energy for something else. So one of my purposes of talking about this is to really educate you on that and let you know that you're not alone in this, and this could be the root cause of your issues if you are experiencing anything. I'm not saying that every woman has all of the issues that I'm going through or I was going through. Chances are at one point your body will finally start to give up and start to fight itself and to start, causing all these sicknesses. So after staying up literally all night long, researching and listening to stories and crying and having fear and regret and anger, I sought out a doctor because I said, I have to do something about this. And what's the worst that can happen? I get my implants out and nothing happens? Well, it is what it is. So we found a doctor. I say we because my husband is involved in this one too. And we sought out a doctor who specializes in explant surgeries, because it's not just taking the implant out. That capsule has to come out. It's a whole procedure that has to be done. So I researched through the Healing Breast Implant Illness website. There's a list of preferred doctors, and I found a doctor that was actually really close to me. So I immediately called this doctor and got a consult for a month away. And I just remember booking that appointment and hanging up the phone and having a ton of emotions come through. Just had my consultation with Dr. B.
Yeah.
I'm getting my shit bags out. Bye, girlies.
So happy.
I was excited, I was nervous, I was scared, I was angry, I was regretful, I was so many things all in one. It took me a month, got to my surgeon, and for the first time, somebody on the professional side actually said, I believe you, and this makes perfect sense. And all the women that I've seen that have gotten this explant surgery have gotten better. So I feel that you have some hope. And I remember leaving his office that day with a scheduled surgery and saying, wow, for the first time in 10 years, I might finally get my health back. So fast forward 2 weeks, he squeezed me in a little bit earlier than I was emotionally ready for, but...
When are you going for surgery?
September 7th.
Cool.
Which is crazy because in our video yesterday, we said October 19th.
Yeah,
and then I got a call from the doctor's office saying, well, he has an opening on September 7th. And originally I didn't want to do it in September because that weekend we have 2 events that weekend, which now I'm not going to be able to do.
Good, it's okay. You gotta take care of this
I have
stuff.
a lot in September. I don't know how I'm
You gotta
gonna
get rid of these as soon as possible and start getting yourself healthy again.
Yeah.
Right.
I had gone through the surgery, and I remember that morning waking up and just having so many emotions I can't even put them down on paper. It was just everything was going through my head. But I felt deep down in my core that this was the answer and this was something I had to do. I had to take every possible measure to try to get my health back. So we did. We went through the explant surgery. The date is September 7th, 2018. Today's the day that I go to explant, meaning I'm getting rid of my implants. This past year has been a real big challenge with my health, and you'll see that in all the documentation I've been doing. So there's a lot of emotions going on right now. I haven't slept in 2 days. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm worried with what the outcome's gonna look like. As long as I start feeling better. Today I really broke down because my hair, it's just gotten so brittle and thin, and it's one of those things, I washed my hair for the last time today in a couple days, and the amount that came out was just, it was out of control, and it's getting worse. So I know that this is gonna make me feel better ultimately. So there's a lot of emotions, like I said, going on between worriness and nervousness and anxiety and hopefulness and excitement and regret a little bit. I know we shouldn't regret anything in life, but there is a regret to it all. I wish I never did this to begin with. I wouldn't be in this position then, and I would have never known all of this sickness. But at the end of the day, we go through life. We shouldn't regret anything, and I did it for a reason. It served its purpose. I was really happy with it. And now it's led me here, and now I'm hoping to be able to help other women get through this challenge as well, and maybe shine some light on what BII really is, and that it really is a thing. And if you speak to the 50,000 women that I belong to a support group with, just the one of those support groups I belong to, they'll tell you the same thing regardless of what most doctors will think. All my holistic doctors, though, do believe in it, and they think this is the best thing ever for me. This year has been the worst year, and they've all been part of it, between my acupuncturist, my physical therapist, my chiropractors, plural, many chiropractors, and my functional medicine doctor, and they're all thrilled with me going through this. So we'll see. I leave in about 20 minutes to go. My surgery is in about, what time is it, 10:30? So it's 11 o'clock. In 2.5 hours, I should be getting the surgery. So I don't know. I'll see you on the lighter side, as we say on all of those Facebook groups. So guys, thank you. Wish me luck. Although I don't need luck, I just need healing. So send me good vibes to heal. And I'll see you on the lighter side. Bye. Yeah, one last look. Can't see them, but this is what they look like right now. And they won't be there anymore in 3 hours. Got out of surgery, and my doctor actually said that, Karen, your one implant had so much calcification on it, and so did the capsule. No wonder why you've been so sick.
It's been, wiped and washed. This calcium will still be on there. That's almost, when you look at it, it's almost like it was impregnated into the implant. But yeah, it's not gonna, some of the bigger pieces you can flick off with your fingernail, but it's solid glued on there. So that's all calcium, which is reaction to just chronic inflammation inside of you. I mean, even it grew into the little labeling on the back.
So calcification is a way that when your body is constantly inflamed, your body produces calcium as a fighting mechanism. So one of my implants had so much calcification on it that he couldn't even get it off when he cleaned them. And that was like, wow, I think I finally have the answers to what I've been experiencing for all of these years. Within the first week, I no longer have joint pain. My vision is better. I have way more energy than I've ever had in the past 10 years. My sleep has gotten better. My thought process has gotten better. There's been so many. I can take a deep breath for the first time without any pain or restriction. I never even knew that was an issue. I thought that was just the way that I was breathing. I didn't know any different. I could take a deep breath now, and a full deep breath with no pain. I could lay on my sides and my stomach, and I'm able to do things in the gym that I wasn't able to do with the fear that I would rupture one of my implants. I physically couldn't lay on my stomach without the fear of, I think I'm gonna pop my boobs. It's crazy. That no longer happens anymore. And I think the biggest thing for me is I now can truly live a natural, holistic life that I preach. I've always been very natural and holistic, and I don't take medication, and I try to do everything through diet, exercise, meditation, yoga, holistic healers. And for 13 years, I feel like I've been living that lie. I've had something fake in my body for so long. And for the first time, I can actually live with integrity and say that no, I am 100% me, I'm 100% natural, and I will never, ever again put something that will compromise that into my body. I will never again look at myself and not love myself for how I look, because God made me this way, and there's a reason He made me to look like this. And I will never put something in to make me look different. I think that's one of the biggest things, is learning that it doesn't matter what your shape is, it doesn't matter what size you are, it doesn't matter you know, what society thinks a woman should look like. You are made a certain way. And the most important thing is to learn to self-love and really be grateful. Because let me tell you something, having implants is not worth the health issues, the physical pain, the emotional pain, and the amount of money I have spent trying to get better. I never again will do that to myself. And I hope that women out there will start accepting themselves for who they are and not allowing media and magazines and Instagram and celebrities influence them on how they feel. And if we can all just look in the mirror and say to ourselves that we really love who we are for who we are, I think we can become stronger and just better and healthier in general. So what I want to get across today is really just learn to love yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. As long as you're healthy and you're happy, learn to be happy and love yourself with that. You know, and if you think that you may be experiencing issues that you don't know where they're coming from and you have breast implants, please do some research, question it, listen to your gut, and don't think that you're invisible to it, or don't think that there's no way these implants could be causing all of these issues. Really do your research. And I am here if anybody needs some support, if anybody wants to contact me, I'm always available. You can find me on Instagram at Karen_Monetti. We'll put a link at the end of this video too. And I encourage you all to really do your research. If you have them in, if you are contemplating getting breast implants, I am not sitting here and saying don't do it. Everybody has their own path. All I want you to do is become educated and really do your research before you get them. The doctors, the FDA, the implant manufacturers, they're not going to tell you all the downsides of implants. They would not be in business if they did this. So just make your decisions, make your educated decisions, I should say, before you actually go through the surgery. And really just try to love yourself, because at the end of the day, you only get one go at this and you only get one body. So honor your body, honor yourself, and just accept it and love you. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening to my story. I will have more, and please follow me because I will still continuously post about my recovery. I'm only 6 weeks out and I cannot wait to see what 6 months, even a year can do to me. And please follow me on my journey and see how I'm doing. Thank you so much for all of your time. I appreciate it. Bye.